I would like to introduce you to some things we're doing in our ReDICo team, and that is a kind of another form of scientific communication. And I will introduce you today just briefly to two Educasts we have produced within our teams. And content-wise, it's of course linked a lot to social media activism, at least the two, in particular one of the two Educasts I'm showing you today. Overall, we are producing 4 Educasts, so there will be 2 other Educasts coming soon, yeah, you can see them afterwards, of course, too. And today I'm focusing on the 2 ones on cosmopolitanism. And as I said, on cosmopolitan social media activism, and I suppose you know that this is kind of an important branch for us also to be integrated here in the conference, because we invited not only scholars, but also a good number of real cosmopolitans in the internet, people who act in a cosmopolitan way in the internet, and that is of course also linked to what we do in our project. I suppose you may know already, or at least finally you know it now, that among a lot of other topics, we have one emphasis, as I said, among others, in our project, which deals with digital cosmopolitan Europeanism. This is a topic Fergal and I are mainly engaging with, and kind of the idea of coming up with this whole conference here. And as usually scholars do, what we do is do our research and then write articles. I'm sure you know what this means, and that's the usual way. So here are 2 main articles we have come up over the last months. Well, one of them is recently published here, the second one. So there are articles with a more theoretical consideration. Here, the one written by Fergal and published in the Intercultural Journal, and another one written by Fergal and myself together, basing on an empirical study about the motivations and values of people who are there active in social media, being cosmopolitans. So I want to focus on this second study here a little bit more. On the one hand, it's the one I'm a little bit more entrusted with, but I'm very sure that during the discussion, Fergal also can swap a little bit from his moderator role and answer everything concerning the theoretical background, especially of the first Educast I will show afterwards. And secondly, I'm focusing this empirical study a little bit more, because this is really what is connected to social media activism. Now, what we wanted to learn over the last months or 1.5 years is who uses social media in a cosmopolitan way and why. Or more precise, we focused on Twitter, so who tweets in a cosmopolitan way and why do the people do so. And by the way, everything was done before Elon Musk took over this thing and maybe changed a little bit narratives about Twitter and so on. So we tried to get an insight of the motivations, the biographical developments, the traits, and so on, which is underpinning this engagement. Finally, we looked for, from an identity theory or perspective, we looked for the narrations of identity. People are telling who they are by tweeting, for example. That's a way of telling I am this person by the way I'm tweeting. So it is connected to narrative identity, to what we have been doing here. So we tried to identify cosmopolitan tweeters. The basic assumption is that cosmopolitanism, following Nussbaum and Japaya, is this feeling of responsibility for humanity as a whole. So we looked for people. Finally, people don't say, "Hey, world, I am a cosmopolitan," or "I'm tweeting now in a cosmopolitan way." So we kind of had to interpret by the tweets and the massiveness of tweets of certain people, if they are considered to be cosmopolitans or not, according to our approach. And we look for people who engaged in climate change awareness, anti-authoritarianism in a pro-European way, for fair trade, LGBT rights, or against any form of group-focused enmity. Maybe already one first insight. Very often the people are not interested in one single of these topics, no? But there are kind of a bunch of topics. So people who engage, for example, for a fairer treatment of refugees, also raise awareness for the human factors of climate change and so on. So our corpus is, we assembled a number of 10 interviews with just regular people. Yeah, we didn't look for institutional accounts, but for just normal people who are using internet, who are using Twitter. And we found 10 interview partners to kind of expanded interviews for about 30 to 60 minutes each interview. These were people from 5 different countries all across Europe. There was a variety in age, gender, occupations in this interview group, and overall we had about 6 hours of interview corpus. So yeah, our some very few general findings. Overall, it's more than what I have chosen here for the presentation today. So if you're really interested, download the open access again article in the Persona journal, Persona Studies journal. And I chose here only the findings which connect a lot to the Educast. I will go to show you afterwards. There is one finding that this idea of social media engagement indeed is a form of civic engagement. Yeah, so the motivations and so on, the ideas why people engage on social media and on Twitter does not differ so much from people who engage, for example, in the fire brigade or in associations supporting the rights of animals and so on in the analogous world, yeah, in the non-digital world. Then despite that the people deal with different topics or with a bunch of different topics and have their own interests, the people I interviewed share kind of the same values. Yeah, this will be displayed in the Educast in a few minutes. Then we found we noted something what we called a bleak optimism. Yeah, on the one hand, there's people who engage there on social media are kind of pessimistic. Yeah, they see a more and more authoritarian society, and that the world really is going worse and worse, and the climate is being worse, and the way minorities are treated is being worse, and in elections all around Europe, right-wing populism is gaining power and so on. But they don't fall back in this pessimism, but take kind of an optimistic attitude out of it and believe that they can make a change. Yeah, so everything is not lost, but if we engage as society and if we help each other and so on, we can change society. Yeah, with a simple tweet, I can do my do my assistance to change society. And finally, they have valuable strategies to cope with negative responses and hate speech. I think that's a topic which accompanies everyone who is active on social media, and we will address this over our whole conference in diverse sessions too. Okay, as I said very shortly, our findings here, and of course there's more to say. We can address this in the discussion, or you can read the article and so on. Well, now what I want to focus now for the next few minutes, that what we wanted to do is not only communicate what we found out and what we want to say in a usual way by writing an article and hoping that it gets read, but yeah, we developed Educasts. Yeah, we wrote a script, recorded a voiceover, then designed a video, and finally spread it around. Okay, honestly, that's not so easy as it sounds here, but it was great fun, of course, and we had a very good team engaging in a lot of ways, especially to design the video was really a big and difficult work, and very happily we got massive support, especially by one of our team members, Van Nguyen, but I'm doubting she's not here today, otherwise she would deserve a huge thank you once more here in public too. And we also got some assistance by professional enterprise avocado films who do these kind of things too. Okay, I think now I talked enough about what we have been doing, and I hope you're eager for seeing our Educasts. Oh, I hope I shared now the screen with sound. Maybe Fergal, I'm looking at you, and you give me a thumb up if you can listen to it. Otherwise, I have to restart my slides again, yeah?
The digital has made many things possible, like chatting to friends worldwide. Digital tools further global interaction. The tools themselves often retain traces and links to various parts of the world, be it software created in Bangalore or algorithms programmed in San Francisco. How could we describe and analyze those aspects of our world? Maybe post-digital cosmopolitanism? Cosmopolitanism? We are not talking here about cocktails, nor magazines. Cosmopolitanism is an old idea. It means to have a sense of the world, of being a citizen of something beyond the local. There are three main forms of cosmopolitanism: a philosophical form, imagining better worlds and shared ethical and political solutions; a descriptive form, analyzing feelings of solidarity beyond the local; and a processual form, examining how global interactions result in various transformations. Okay, cosmopolitanism has been introduced now. What about post-digital? This is a new idea. It means that separating a digital and a material world doesn't make sense, as they are intertwined. Combining both concepts, we can talk about post-digital cosmopolitanism from an everyday, processual, and normative philosophical point of view. What does that mean? First, global digital interactions happen every day in our lives. For example, the videos we view online often have global origins and reach. Also, algorithms can nudge us to act in certain ways online without us even noticing it. Secondly, online interactions result in transformations in our behavior, meaning internet users may, for example, engage in activism due to interaction with global hashtags. Thirdly, we can criticize the existing norms of the digital world and work on reimagining them to create a fairer, truly global internet. Many interactions of the online world may be deeply positive if we only consciously use and shape them this way. And maybe you really do need a cosmopolitan after all. The cocktail, that is.
All right, that was the first Educast we published, more about the theoretical background and about post-digital cosmopolitanism. Should be a good and first introduction to this term. And now I'm going to show you the second Educast which we have published so far, which leans then on this empirical research I have introduced you some minutes ago. No, that's the second. Can you hear it?
This is Cordy. Cordy is politically interested and sees herself as cosmopolitan. This means that Cordy looks for ways in which people around the world can live together peacefully and with equal rights. Cordy also spends a lot of time on social media. There, she is constantly in contact with interesting people and enjoys learning new things. But in recent years, Cordy has noticed that social media has increasingly become a haven for fake news, nationalism, and hate speech. Cordy would like to counteract this and campaign online for a tolerant and peaceful society and for issues that affect humanity as a whole. She's not alone in this attempt at inspiring society. With other social media activists all over the world, Cordy shares a high-value orientation. Authenticity, solidarity, justice, and equality, as well as freedom of speech, are important values for her. These days, you don't need a ship to navigate the cosmopolitan seas anymore. You can navigate the internet. Even if it sometimes seems like the world around her is sort of going nuts, Cordy feels inspired by the active global citizens on social networks and is convinced that change that may start small can pay off in the long term. Cosmopolitan social media engagement is indeed a real form of civic engagement. Do you want to engage in social media for a peaceful, responsible, and shared world too? As a start, you could like or repost comments from people like Cordy, counteract if someone gets offended, or write an appreciative DM to support somebody taking a public stand. Feeling approved is highly important as a form of encouragement. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be a cosmopolitan social media activist too.
Okay, thank you. Of course, we are here talking to you, listener, who are listening now. Yeah, maybe you will be the social media activists in the future too, or maybe you are already. Yeah, we would appreciate this a lot. So, as I said, this is two of in total 4 Educasts. Maybe somebody of our team could post in the chat the YouTube channel address. I forgot to prepare this so that the audience could look at the Educasts afterwards once more, a little bit with more time. And there will be 2 more Educasts coming soon. They are prepared mainly by Luisa and Mileni from our ReDICo team, and will deal with intercultural group commitment in online teams, something along these lines. And yeah, so stay tuned